Coach Jason Itkin.
Good to meet you.
Good to see you. How are you?
Kurt Arnold, thanks for coming out.
Good to meet you.
Yeah,
Thank
you too.
Thank you, guys.
Tell us about you. You're from North Carolina originally?
Yeah, born and raised in Eastern North Carolina. Graduated from North Carolina A&T State University. Got my start in strength and conditioning at Oklahoma State as a graduate assistant. The career just moved on from Oklahoma State to Baylor to Iowa State, the Houston Texans. My first head job was at South Carolina State. And then I went on to University of Washington where I met Coach Sark as an assistant on that staff. Went to USC for a season, head guy at Cal, and now here at Texas.
How did you get into the strength and conditioning arena?
It's funny, I was telling the crew here, my major in college initially was broadcast production communication. And broadcast production communication interfered with football, spring ball my freshman year, so my coach made me change my major. So I changed to fitness and wellness management with the minor in business administration, and that kind of took me down the path of exercise physiology, kinesiology, biomechanics, those types of courses, and I fell in love with it. I had a knack for it, fell in love with it, and the path to being a strength and conditioning coach was laid.
What are some of the different hats you wear as strength conditioning coach here?
As a strength and conditioning coach, you have to wear the hat of motivator. You have to wear the hat of disciplinarian. You have to have a little element of child psychology to it. You have to have some friend aspect at different times. Nurturer, dad, uncle, big brother, ass-kicking drill sergeant. It's a full spectrum position. And I think when you're really good at the position, you have an awesome feel for what's needed and being able to give the team what it needs or being able to give the individual what that person may need in that moment. So it's a lot of hats. That's where these grades came from. It's trying to figure out what to be for whom at what time.
So, Coach, do you think it's more mental or more physical?
I'm a proponent of everything is more mental first.
Yeah.
With my position as a strength and conditioning coach, I always say jokingly that my role in my position is the truth. Kids don't come to a place like the University of Texas to lift weights and run. They come to the University of Texas to get an amazing education, but more so play football at a high level and realize their dreams of the NFL. They ain't coming here to spend as much time with me and run at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and lift weights until they can't lift anymore. So when these kids get in with my staff and we get really, really into training and preparing for what they say they want to do as far as playing these games a certain way, it's really, really challenging.
And how rough is the transition from high school to the University of Texas?
I think it depends on the kid. I think it depends on the young man. If there's there's a level of maturity that determines that. If a kid is on the more mature side and they understand the concepts of eating a certain way, training a certain way, taking care of my body and mentally being in the moment with training, they tend to do better in the transition. The kids that kind of don't have that foundation, that discipline, they'll struggle a little.
And on the nutrition side, talk to us a little bit about that. I mean, how important that is. And I mean, I get it. You want people to be stronger and faster.
Yeah.
But like, if you kind of laid out your pillars of what you want to achieve?
Yeah. From the nutrition standpoint, we want the kids to understand that, yes, strength and conditioning, highly important, but we also want them to understand recovery, taking care of your body, and how nutrition plays a part in that, nutrition and hydration. We have to start the process and the education aspect of them understanding what you put in your body determines a lot of what you get out of your body. We can lift weights and run till we're blue in the face, but if you're not recovering properly, if you're not fueling yourself properly, you won't ever see the results that you're looking for. We have a dietitian on our staff, Brad. He works exclusively with football. One of the reasons that I liked him was he used to be an offensive lineman.
Okay.
And he lost 100 pounds. And he didn't lose 100 pounds because of a magic pill or because he figured out what supplements to take. He decided to manage his relationship with food. And by teaching our kids that, we set weight goals for them, we set body composition goals for them, and we educate them daily on the importance of eating a certain way, managing your macronutrients, those types of things, hydration, the good and the bad things to put in your body, and how those things are going to play a role in what you do on the field in October, November, December.
How do you figure out when you look at a student athlete to say, hey, we want to add some muscle here or maybe take some muscle down there and manage both strength and speed for them? What's the process?
The first thing we want to look at is the genetic makeup of the player. We look at the anthro as far as the shoulder width, the femur, the arm length. We want to look at the circumference of the knee. We want to look at their hand size, and all these things tell us the growth potential. Once we get an indicator of how big we think the players can be, now we start the process of developing a plan that helps them maintain their movement skills. Most kids are going to come to a place like Texas not because of necessarily how big they look and how strong they look, but how they move when we watch them play. So one of our pillars in our program, going back to the pillars, is we're a speed-based program. So our philosophy is that no matter what position you play, your ability to get from point A to point B faster than the person across from you helps you win and helps us win. But once we start to get those indicators and those identifiers on those players, we build a program that's going to continue to enhance those guys. We understand that kids are naturally going to get bigger once they get to college. Through my experiences and my education, I'm not a believer that you get slower because you get bigger. You get slower because you lose flexibility and mobility. So a huge part of what we do is make sure that our guys are always working on their hip mobility. That's the hips, the hip flexors, the hamstrings, the adductors. We're making sure that we keep our movement patterning appropriate in those places.
First of all, what's the difference between mobility, flexibility, and then how do you improve them?
The difference between mobility and flexibility, mobility is more, it pertains to the joint, the hip joint, as opposed to flexibility and musculature. You know, the hamstring, we can lengthen the hamstring and increase the flexibility. But what we want to do is we want to make sure that those joints maintain their mobility and our ability to move around them freely.
Probably all of us are, I think, similar aged. That we used to do the old school just stretch where you sit down, grab your hamstring.
Yeah.
Do y'all do that anymore? I heard that doesn't work.
Absolutely.
I heard that.
We try to avoid static stretching as much as possible. If there's a place for it, we consider post-workout, post-competition. That's an opportunity that you can kind of get into the relaxation aspect of it. But we try not to do too many static stretches right now.
What do y'all do? I mean, you have some immensely talented individuals. And when you hear about people, whether it's Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, Tom Brady, people who are obsessive about their strength, conditioning, and preparation. How do you try to bring that out to say, like, hey, maybe you're supposed to do 12 reps on the squat rack or whatever, but you can maybe do 15, or we could add more weight. What do you do to try to push these guys to reach that maximum potential?
To try to get these guys to find that next level or maximize their potential, we utilize some concepts, one of which is called autoregulation. Autoregulation is a concept that says that the three of us, although we train the same, there's no way to accurately predict when we can all peak or when we can all do more. So with autoregulation being a part of our program, there's going to be times in our program where we say, hey, you're going to hit your prescribed 90% today, but we're going to do a bonus set. And however your 90% is going to determine what your bonus set is. So you may kill your 90% and we're going to bump you up 15 pounds and you're going to go 3 more reps. I may struggle with my 90%. Hey, we're going to stay there and do it again. And we may not be able to hit our 90% on that day, and we'll lower the weight.
Kurt can always hit his 90%. He never lowers the weight.
So with that concept, what we're doing is we're maximizing ourselves that day. We're getting the most out of ourselves that day. No matter what the program says, we're able to maximize ourselves and push ourselves.
What are some of the tools you have? I mean, I've heard about the heart rate monitors and some of the things. What are some of the cool things that y'all have that maybe, those of us that occasionally make it to the gym wouldn't know about?
We don't want to give all of our secrets away. Probably the most used piece of equipment that we have in the totality of our program is probably our Catapult GPS tracking units. Again, because we're a movement-based operation, we're a speed-based operation, we want to be aware of how fast, how much, how far our guys are going all the time. That's outside. We have a sports scientist, Sam Contorno, that she's present, whether it's a game, practice, conditioning sessions, workouts, everything that we do, she's there to track our players, and then it becomes our job to utilize that information the most effective way and to communicate those things to our coaching staff. Inside the weight room, we have a camera-based system, velocity-based system called Elite Form. What Elite Form allows us to do is not just monitor the amount of weight that our guys are using, but we're also able to monitor how fast they're able to lift a certain weight. So those are a couple of the cool things that we have. We also have our sports science room in the weight room, and we have a few different pieces of equipment in there that we like to break out every so often.
Yeah.
What's like the off-season conditioning like versus in-season conditioning?
In-season conditioning, our hope is that our guys are able to achieve that through practice, through competitive environment, being able to work your skills, work your drills, and being able to get it organically through playing football. The best way to be prepared for football is to play football.
Do y'all lift in season at all?
We do. We do lift in season as well. We want to maintain our training residuals. The guys are really excited about what they achieve and what they gain in the summer. And we teach them that the only way that you're able to keep that is through maintaining exposure to it. For example, if you're able to apply 500 pounds of force to the ground, we have to keep putting you in position where percentage-wise you have to hit certain numbers to be able to maintain those training residuals. Mm-hmm. But off-season conditioning is less football, more overall fitness, general conditioning, sprint work, speed development, change of direction, force application to the ground, those types of things. But when it's in season, our job is to make sure that our guys are prepared to compete at the highest level on Saturday.
Who's the strongest guy on the team?
The strongest guy on the team right now, maybe David Bender, Jake Majors. Jake Majors, David Bender, one of those two guys.
Really?
Yeah. I think Jake gets him because of bench press. So I say Jake Majors.
Who do you think is the fastest guy on the team?
I know who he is, but I don't want the conversation that's going to come after me saying it.
Let me say this. If you were going to build I'll use Kurt's question, a 4x100 relay team.
Okay.
Who are you going to put on the relay team?
If I'm going 4x1, I'm going to go Jaden Blue. And this is no particular order. They'll figure out who the anchor is. I'm going to go Jaden Blue. I'm going to go Silas Bolden. I'm probably going to go Isaiah Bond. It's a toss-up. DeAndre Moore, Matthew Golden. It's a lot of guys that could be that fourth guy.
A lot of speed on this team.
It's probably 6 guys that could be that fourth leg. So I tell you what, I'll take my 3, and I'll let those 3 decide who their teammate is.
There you go.
Yeah, we've asked a few of them, and there's no lack of confidence in believing they're the fastest person on the team.
Yeah. The thing that we'll do is we'll say, okay, what's the distance?
Yeah.
If you ask them what the distance is, then you can kind of figure out who fits where.
Who'd you take in the mile run?
Oof. Whoever we take in the mile run, probably somebody who wouldn't make it on the field. That's a struggle. I'll take one of the guys on my staff for the mile run.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Well, Coach, we appreciate you coming down and visiting with us.
Yeah.
It was
Thank
awesome.
You. Good to meet you.
Lots of stuff that I've always wanted to know.
Very much. Thank you, guys.